big lesson that I learned this year is the first they had, I don't know if he hired someone or someone came to serve the information, and I have a Ring doorbell, and I just didn't answer the door. And they tried this for months. I just never answer the door. Like, hey, I'm not bound to answer any door. Well, in late summer, the sheriff stopped by. The sheriff
Yeah.
stopped by the first time, and it caught it on the Ring. I wasn't home, and oh, that again, it shook up those emotions. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? Sheriff just knocked at the door. Well, the second time they came, I answered it under. I got some advice from a friend, and I just thought about all this because again, when they are serving you, or whenever a public official or a public servant is communicating with you, they're not communicating with you. They are talking to that corporation.
Yeah.
And my experiment was, hey, I'm not that, and I'm never going to identify as it. That's the first door they're trying to get you to get in,
Yes.
is
Yes.
identification. So they came over, the sheriffs. I opened the door. I didn't leave the threshold, and they said, "Are you Gary Gilgan?" And I said, "No, I'm not." I looked him right in the face because I know who you're talking to. And he goes,
Exactly.
"Well, does Gary Gilgan live here?" And I go, "No, that entity is not registered at this address." And he goes, "Oh, are you sure?" I go, "I'm positive." And then we just had this standoff. It was me, him, and his little backup buddy. And then after probably 30 awkward seconds or so, I said, "All right, well, have a good day." And I just closed the door right in front of his face.
Yeah. It's the problem is if you have a lot of documentation where your name is registered at that address, you see. So if you have one of the big ones that's kind of scary is your utility bills. Your utility bills are in that name.
None of mine are.
Oh, no. Okay, good. Well, that's good, right? Because
I haven't used my person. I don't have a bank account. Nothing. I operate in commerce 100% through a trust.
yeah, I do too. I mean, it's an interesting conversation because there's many ways you can go about doing this, right? I mean, you can say that person doesn't live here, that person has nothing to do with this. You can even bring up 18 USC 1342. I believe that's the one I was saying earlier about the fictitious name. You can
Mm-hmm.
even say, like, I don't know, this is kind of weird, Sheriff. I think that someone is using a fictitious name in an attempt to try to create a constructive trust over me. The definition
Right.
of constructive trust is a fake trust that's created with someone else's name in order to try to create like a fraudulent identity theft kind of a situation, right? So you can do something like that. You could say, I'm the agent on behalf of that principal, and you can accept the parcel as the agent on behalf of the principal, and then you can discharge anything that comes to the principal by using endorsements.
Not great point. I mean, to add to
Now the
that
other thing
too.
is you can do endorsements. Another thing, that the reason why I'm starting to look more into that avenue is because when you become the holder of a bill of exchange, so a bill of exchange, the definition of a bill of exchange, which I just figured it out last week. I've been trying to figure it out for like 10 months. The definition of a bill of exchange, it's an order to pay money. So it's still like a promise to pay. And the thing is that when if you look at, I believe it's UCC 1-104, if you have an item that's both an order and a note, then the person who's entitled to enforce that instrument can treat that instrument as either one as they personally desire, right? So if you get a bill of exchange, which they're ordering you now to pay money, that's the definition of a bill of exchange. It's also the definition of a check, which is kind of wild. You can actually, when you become the holder, you can actually say, like, I'm the holder now. I'm willing to sign this and bring the value of this note into existence, but we're going to be changing some of the conditions. So once you become the holder, once they send you the bill of exchange, you're the one literally completely in charge. Like, you're basically the king. You have more power than the judge. You have more power than the police. You have more power. The problem is that you receive the bill of exchange and then you do nothing with it.
Right.
That's the problem. when you realize that when you become the holder and then you become the holder in due course and then you become the person entitled to enforce that instrument, they're saying, we want you to bring this instrument into the world. Please don't do it conditionally. Please, God, don't do it conditionally. And you just smile and little devil ears pop out of your head and you say, oh, this is going to be conditional. This is going to be very, 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 very fucking conditional. And we're going to have a lot of fun creating those conditions. Because the thing is that you can now manufacture a bond for, let's say they're trying to hit you with $10,000. You can say, why don't we do this? Let's make it 100,000, and you guys give me 90.
Wow. Oh wow.
Brandon, one case that and I got this from Yusuf, who's fucking cool as shit online.
Yes.
If anybody's watching this, it's Perry versus the United States. And the case directly goes over when they took everyone's gold
Yes.
and when they switched to the promissory note. And so I'm probably 12 pages into that, but fuck man, it blows my fucking mind that this is just, you can download the PDF online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking sweet. But anybody
I
watching
love to
this,
see it. I don't think I've ever seen. What is your name again? Sorry.
no problem. It's on Instagram, it's Lord Malibu Ken, but my name is Ken.
Ken. I gotta tell you, Ken, I'm impressed. I've never seen. How long have you been studying this stuff?
Fuck, maybe a year.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. You keep going, and you're gonna be the king. I can tell already. There's absolutely no question about it. Your documentation and how fast you're moving and how hardcore you're getting into these more difficult books that have to do with a lot of like more in-depth like bar procedure. I mean, you're gonna go into these courts and you're gonna strike fear into absolutely everybody. I mean, to the point where they're gonna be like pissing themselves in their bed at night, with fucking hot sweats. Literally, it's gonna be awesome. So, big shout out. You're really impressive. Really impressive stuff.
Man, I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really, really impressive. Yeah. So,
Well, gosh, because I doubt we'll actually have to use this as the intro because this is deep for most of the people that listen to our stuff. Like very few people, a lot of like pushback resistance to this type of information, but kind of what is your origin story? Like,
well, let me ask you, what is your typical audience? How large is your audience? What's the demographics of your audience? I'm always curious. I have a marketing background big time. So I always ask these kind of questions if I get into these kind of questions and situations. Do you know any of that information?
Age is probably varies. Probably from 25 to 45, probably mostly male, but we've got some females too. But probably just sitting back on the sidelines, seeing how crazy, because we're into some weird ass shit. We're drinking ayahuasca, doing ketamine therapy. Like we're into.
Okay. Are you what size is your audience and what area do they come from mainly?
On what channel would you say?
Any of it, just anything.
I bet
whatever.
total comprise. We're probably 10,000
Okay.
across all channels. YouTube super small. Instagram, some of the pages are bigger than others. 3,000, 3,500, all the way to 600.
So when you say you're getting a lot of pushback, is it from people that you've heard from before, or are these from people who are your backroom busters that have been hanging around forever and then now finally they're piping up? Or it's a lot of what I see. So
local people that especially know him personally, like those are the ones that just resistance to that can't be true. Like we're also big into crypto, so people think that, oh, crypto, you guys are fucking weird, boycott, all this stuff. Like again,
so why are they listening to a podcast about all this crazy ass shit and then why are they even listening?
Interesting, guests on too. We have a friend of ours that owns the ketamine clinic, his girlfriend. Like we trying to have conversations with people across a wide variety of topics.
Okay.
This being, one we're probably, one of the three we're most passionate about. And so we just want to have conversations with people that are.
Yeah, and we've maybe had one other show about this information. Not something we've really talked about a lot because again, we just started getting into it. And so don't feel comfortable speaking about it, not because we're embarrassed, but because we
No one knows about any of this. You are not
Right.
going to find anybody. I mean, literally, there are a small handful, maybe 5 people, 10 people on the whole planet that are kind of at this level. That's why the stuff that Ken was showing me was so impressive, because I only see that kind of writing from somebody in like the upper, literally, like there's almost nobody,
Yeah,
So
it's a legal document.
yeah, well, it's just the way that you wrote it and how detailed it was. I mean, you're gonna rip any fucking lawyer limb from limb. I mean, it's fingernails first with with something like that. I mean, that's like something out of a Saw movie. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's it's one thing to run circles around a lawyer. It's another to feed him into a wood chipper dick first. There's a big difference between those two things. So yeah, so you aren't going to find anybody. I mean, and a lot of people do start off at. I mean, I started off at total disbelief. I mean, I'm very clear about that in all the shows that I'm on. For 2 years, I thought this lady that was trying to tell me about this shit, I thought she was batshit crazy, and I didn't want to hear any of it. And she tried to bring it up every single time I'd see her. So every like handful of months, I'd see her, and she tried to bring it up real soft, real sweet lady, sweetest lady ever. She never pushed anything on me. She never forced anything on me. And it wasn't until I had a really serious issue with one of my companies where the employment development department, payroll, government fucking mafia was after me. That's what finally pushed me to call her and be like, fuck, like, I'm ready to learn about your crazy ass shit. And then I bought a whole bunch of books, and I didn't tell anybody I was doing any of this for probably about 6 months. And then when I finally did start telling people, I was kicked out of my home. I almost lost my job. I mean, I had a massive amount of blowback from almost every area of my life. And I mean, I don't really care. I just didn't, it was really difficult, and I was very sad for a long time, for many, many, many months, maybe even a year. It was a struggle. But I just knew that there is no options here. I'm not going to let the ignorance of the people around me control my life and what I know I need to do and what I know I need to assimilate and understand this information and then share it. And there is nothing or anyone that's going to stop me from doing that. Period. End of story.
Well, and I would say too, there's a lot of people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about that are in this world, right? That don't really study and they just spout out shit that doesn't really matter. I especially learned that watching Yusuf's videos, because I love when he gets upset, but he'll be like, these motherfucking demons and like, you
Yeah, he's a
wrong.
funny
Tell
guy.
me where, and he'll look it up and shit. And dude, but yeah, there's just a bunch of people spouting dumb shit that's not true, So it makes sense why
Yeah.
people think we are crazy because 98% of them are, and they're not really trying to figure out the truth.
Yeah, this whole arena is littered with dead bodies. Just absolutely littered with dead bodies. It's like the fucking Oregon Trail. I've had people tell me, I had somebody tell me one time, somebody who knows me well, like all these people have failed doing this. Like, what makes you think you're going to be the first one to figure it out? And in a way that was like, fuck you. Like, it wasn't like a challenging kind of fun communication. It was like you're fucking stupid and should give up now kind of a communication. So, it's just kind of one of those things where, the ego of a human being, the self pride, the desire to be right. And a lot of people are so powerful that, this information is so deep and it's so all encompassing that there's a lot of people that translate this information as making them very stupid for never having noticed it.
Yeah, and that goes along with what you said is with the human ego, we don't want to admit that we've been bamboozled for so long.
And so like like looking at the definition of motor vehicle, it's not, it's not, I mean,
Or person.
it's, well, person, that's a bit of a rabbit hole. The
But a
definition here, let me do this. I'm going to share the screen. The definition of the term motor vehicle is like, it's like taking a metal baseball bat with giant, massive construction nails for like huge commercial project all through it, and then wrapping some sort of like flammable fabric around it, setting it on fire, and then having Babe Ruth smash your face in with it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of a hard, it's kind of like taking a Claymore mine and jamming it into someone's mouth and then watching it explode. You know, it's like, it's kind of a rough pill to swallow. So we got here 18 USC 31 subsection A6. And people will say, oh, well, that's a federal code. There's a state code. I got it. If you go into all the different state codes, like for example, in Florida, yes, they define motor vehicle differently. They define motor vehicle to include passenger vehicles, but then you go deeper and deeper into the different types of motor vehicles, and they're going to have a for hire or private use motor vehicle. So yes, there are some slight variations to this, but basically it's exactly the same thing. And depending on, and people go, ooh, the people who go, ooh, they're looking for an excuse to make this wrong, and they have to work hard. And they have to be very blind to a lot of areas, and they have to look very, very precisely for exactly what they're looking for. That'll exactly fit their narrative. And oh, thank God. Oh, and they have this relief. Oh, thank God. Oh, Florida doesn't define motor vehicle this way. Oh, thank God. Yeah. But then you look a little bit deeper. You look right underneath that definition, and then they have private use. So I always love to do that to those kind of people, because they're barely hanging on. So 18 USC 31 subsection A6, the term motor vehicle means every description of carriage or other contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used for commercial purposes on the highway and the transportation of passengers and property or cargo. Now that is so easy. It's like we were saying earlier, you don't want to give a question with too many details, because then it gets easier and easier to get out of. This is so fucking easy to get out of. What's the definition of the word carriage? What's the definition of the word contrivance? What's the definition of mechanical power? What's the definition of use for commercial purposes, which we will look at? It's just below this in subsection A10. What is a highway in relation to what other types of, so you're saying that if I'm not on a highway, if I'm on a side street, I can still operate in commercial capacity, and what's the definition of passengers? What's the definition of property? How is property different from cargo? This thing is like, this is like getting into a fist fight with like a 3-year-old. Literally. And like, you have a machine gun and body armor and they are crippled. like it's actually ridiculous. It's like the most ridiculous thing in the whole fucking world. And then you go down to A10.
Well, then they're setting you up too. Like, they're giving you all the ammo that you need if you know what you're doing.
You don't even, I mean, this is so insane. I don't even consider this to be a fight. This is like used for commercial purposes. The term used for commercial purposes means the carriage of persons or property for any fee, fare, rate, charge, or other consideration, or directly or indirectly in connection with any business or other undertaking intended for profit. So it's like, okay, what is the definition of property? What is the definition of fare? What is the definition of fee? What is the definition of rate? What is the definition of consideration? Why are there 4 different terms? How are they different? That would be a discovery question. Directly or indirectly in connection with any business. What is the definition of business? People don't realize a private irrevocable trust is not a business. Okay, so you can get private irrevocable trust, and then you can get a private motor carrier DOT number for your private irrevocable trust. That's not directly or indirectly connected with any business at all. And it's very easy to prove. Yeah, definition of profit. Think about the definition of profit.
DOT, numbers on the back of those deal that you just shared, the pictures on Instagram.
Yeah. Mine's quite a bit different than those, but I like sharing stuff that people are doing, because these people have balls. You're doing something. It's cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's all weird and fucked up. Like a lot of people posted like, oh, the plate says DOT exempt and then they have a DOT number above that. Yeah, well, okay, whatever.
Practice.
Yeah, it's like whatever. We all start somewhere, right? I don't care. I mean, I do it totally differently. I can show you guys what mine look like. How would I show you? I can show you. I'll show you. So the term used for commercial purposes, another point at the very end is the definition of the word profit. So Federal Reserve notes are promissory notes. So if you have a bunch of them in the legal world, it's all still a zero. There is no intrinsic value. So anything that involves the exchanging of Federal Reserve notes would by definition be a non-profit activity. So you also got to think too is that in order for it to be profit under 18 USC 31 subsection A10, they would have to prove that they would have to prove that you are physically exchanging silver and gold coins, and they would have to actually you have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. So you got to think any of these points, the prosecution has to prove it, and you're never going to tell them anything. You're not going to admit anything to them. You're not going to give them any information. I mean, if you get subpoenaed or whatnot, like depending on what's wanted, like you have a Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. They have to prove that you're in a carriage or a contrivance. They have to clarify the definitions of what both those mean, and they have to connect both of those definitions to my vehicle specifically. Right. Mechanical power. What does that mean, and how are you going to connect that to my vehicle? Used for commercial purposes. So we're going to go down to that. Now you're going to have to prove, without me telling you anything, you're going to have to get receipts or something that I was carrying persons or property. What's the definition of property, and how is it different than cargo? Because cargo was in subsection A6 and it's not in subsection A10. Mm-hmm. So was I carrying property or was I carrying cargo? Because if I was carrying cargo, it's not even included in A10. What's the definition of fare, fee, rate, or other consideration? How are they different? I want specific definitions. I want to know which one specifically you have evidence to support the fact that I was involving myself and had exchanged specifically and exactly for that particular moment of which I was transporting said items. Then you have the word business. What business was I involved in? What evidence do you have that that's even a business, right? And then you have the word profit. And then you go back to A6, and then now you also have the definition of the word highways. If they pull you over on a side street, they can't pin you on A6. You say, what evidence do you have that I have ever transported this vehicle on the highway? Or what evidence do you have that I was transporting on the highways at that same time when I was supposedly transporting those passengers or property or cargo for some sort of fee rate? You see, it's just like, it's so, again, it's just too easy. It's taking candy from a baby is literally substantially more difficult than how easy it is to blast this thing down into flames. I mean, taking candy from a baby is 100 times harder than this. I mean, this is so easy. I would go so far as to say you almost don't even really need to say or do anything.
I think that's the goal, is we want to, through these questions, we want to turn the tables where they are now, it's like, oh, it's so overwhelming for us to pursue this. We would just rather settle or just dismiss the case because it's going to cost too much time and too much money to answer these questions, and we're just going to be exposed. They don't want to ever be exposed.
Well, they are lazy, definitely. But the other thing is that it's not about them having to respond to anything. I mean, they can respond. They could respond with a book that's 2,400 pages long. They're not even going to get within 2,700 football fields of getting you prosecuted unless they have so much evidence. I mean, they're going to put more time and effort into trying to say that my car is a motor vehicle than they will on like a serial murder case. Do you see my point?
Yeah.
And just to make my point here, because I know people, the naysayers that just, oh God, their body starts to shake and they start to perspirate and their teeth start to clatter together and they're wondering if they're coming down off the meth. They're not sure. For these kind of people, we're going to go into a couple of the state stuff, right? We have California
Let's do
v-
Idaho since that's where we're from too.
code definitions, right? So there are slight variations. And when I say slight, they're very, very slight, to the point where I take a piss in the general direction and it's the same shit, just barely different. So here we have vehicle definitions in California. We have a commercial vehicle as a vehicle that is used or maintained for the transportation of persons for hire, compensation, or profit. And then you have an automobile.
Right.
An automobile is a passenger vehicle that does not transport persons for hire. Okay, so California is actually pretty close to exactly how it's broken down in the federal codes, right? Now we have Florida, and we'll do Idaho. Motor vehicle, right? You do have motor vehicle is defined as an automobile, motorcycle, blah, 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 or any other vehicle operated on the roads. So they're more generalized. It's not highways, it's roads. Okay, what's the definition of roads? It's probably more vague and more open than the definition of the word highway, but I would definitely be asking a lot of questions about that definition for that word and why is it so different than the federal laws? I'd want to know that. You know, another thing, oh well, the state code is okay. If you go on to Discovery, you want to know why. You want to know the entire historical background. You want to know the names of the people who were responsible for the state code being different than the federal code. Exactly why, exactly what court cases made those changes. You know,
Since we're on Florida and you just brought this up, it's funny because once you get into this, little things pop up. I never read CNN, but I did see a little article pop up that, you know, Disney was at court against the state of Florida.
yes,
And it says directly in the deal that they pulled out a law from the 1600s to beat Florida in the case, stating that they didn't have jurisdiction over them because the King of England for 80 more years still has jurisdiction over them.
yes, yeah, I saw that too. They don't. They see they want. Then none of these places will talk about any of this unless they're pressed really hard, right?
Right.
But that's because Disney is a micronation.
Totally.
So talk about Slowjamistan or Malaysia. No, they won't say anything. They won't say anything. They won't say anything until they're pressed. There's a lot of these micronations. People just don't know. So all the tribes, the Cherokee tribe, all these tribes, they're all micronations. So here we go. Subsection 14. Private use means the use of any vehicle which is not properly classified as a for-hire vehicle. For-hire means any motor vehicle when used for transporting persons or goods for compensation. So how would it work in Florida? You know, the naysayers will go, well, it's a motor vehicle in Florida. Okay, fine. You fucking piece of shit. There's two types of motor vehicles in Florida. It's the same fucking thing. It's just a little different wording. You wouldn't say automobile and motor vehicle like you would in California or most places. That's the way that a lot of places are, because they just say, fuck it, we're lazy. We're just going to do what the federal government says. Florida decided they wanted to be a tricky dick and they wanted to switch it up a little bit, make it exciting, make them think like they're actually doing some work when they're not. By the way, whoever was paid to do all this did nothing. So there's two types of motor vehicles. So you wouldn't say you have a for-hire vehicle or for-hire motor vehicle. You could say in Florida, I have a private use motor vehicle, private use non-commercial. It's the same fucking thing. It's exact same fucking thing. Now we're going to go Idaho. Definition of motor vehicle. The reason why it's all the same is because State of Idaho is a private for-profit corporation located in the District of Columbia. It's all the same shit. It's all just an illusion. Idaho and the District of Columbia, federal and state codes, it's all the same shit. It's all just designed to make it look like it's this big, huge, complicated thing when it completely is not at all. It's extremely simple and it's all the same. Okay. Like, look at this. Look at this. What is this? Like 35, 50 pages long or 33 pages long? Oh my God, it's like fucking ridiculous. All right. So we're going to type in vehicle, motor vehicle. All right. Let's see what we got. Okay. This looks like it's in alphabetical order. Let's go down, see if we can find. Oof, this is a lot. Okay, let's see if we can.
I mean, this alone is what deters most people.
No. There's 100 of these. We're just gonna click through. You know, it's gonna take 5 fucking minutes. Gonna kill
I
us.
mean, when people see like this much reading, or they say what the average person stops reading after high school.
Yeah.
So you want to
Oops.
play this game, like one of the fundamentals is reading research.
Increasing
Yeah.
vocabulary.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it just depends. Do you wanna be a little bitch ass slave to the state, or do you want to actually own your car? I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to own your car, then just gift your car to the state and get your certificate of whatever and drive under the speed limit and pray for the best. Who cares? Let's see here. Go down here. Motor vehicle. Oh, by the way, if anyone, I have an open invitation for anyone that would ever like to debate me, which I've only had 2 people ever take me up on that.
Oh, that's killer. Now there you go. There's a line in the sand. Like, hey, I'm totally open to hear.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
open.
Oh, dude, bar attorney. I had a bar attorney the other day. I said, "Oh, dude, come on the show, man. I'll get, I've got a 25,000 person email list. I've got 10K on Facebook. I've got a little over 11K. My Instagram's exploding. I've got a K now, 1K on my TikTok because I just created it. I mean, I can get a lot of eyes. I mean, a lot of my YouTube videos, I get 1,000 a day for like the first week or two, and then it goes down to like maybe 500 a day, and then it kind of goes down from there. It kind of loses steam, but it's getting more and more and more and more. I could probably get 10,000 views. I mean, I don't know. I did 2 other debates. I'd say they're probably somewhere in the 6 to 12,000 range for each one. Anybody wants to come on my show and debate me, more than welcome to come on the show. I've already done 2. You can see on my YouTube channel that I do completely non-biased, totally unedited. The first one I did, the guy did not want his last name used, and he didn't want to show his face on camera. That didn't work out so well because basically, like, everyone was like, "Fuck this pussy." Like, if he really believed in what he thought, then he wouldn't be such a little bitch about showing himself. So there was a lot of that, to the point where it was like they didn't even want to hear anything he had to say, and I thought that was kind of unfair even to him. So I made a rule after that if somebody came on the show, they have to use their full name and they have to be on a camera.
Yeah.
So the second one we did was with a guy named Michael, our friend, which is funny. And he was on camera, used his full name, and it was received. I mean, everyone still bashed the fuck out of him, but they bashed him for like his actual content and what he was actually saying and why, and not just because his camera was off and his last name wasn't used, which was a lot of what was on the first one. And I thought that was unfair. So I run, totally fair, as long as you're willing to put your information out there, put your face out there, and not be a little bitch. I run. I think the first one was like 2.5, 3 hours long, and I think the second one was probably 2.5 hours, 2 hours long, and totally unedited. So I'm more than willing to. I would love to have some bar attorneys. Ooh, that would be fun.
That'd be sick to
New YouTube channel idea, master debater.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
have a ref and we can bet on it.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Now
on
look
it.
at
I'll take
this.
you any day.
Now look at this. We got a little bit of a clue here. This is our first clue. Driver's license means a license to permit issued by the department or by any other jurisdiction to an individual with authorizes the individual to operate a motor vehicle or commercial motor vehicle. They have 2 different terms here. On the highways in accordance with the requirements of Title 49. Now, Title 49, they're actually referring to the federal code on this, and the federal code is specific that motor vehicle. Anyways, we got our first couple of clues here. Okay, so we're going to keep going, and we're going to see if we can find a Class D license. This license shall be issued and valid for the operation of a motor vehicle that is not a commercial motor vehicle defined in section 49.123. So let's take a look at 49.123 Idaho code. So if you look at the Idaho is saying 49 is the same as Title 49 in the federal code. So I already know that this is going to be pretty similar. So we have vehicle. Here they say They have general vehicle, they have assembled vehicle, commercial vehicle. Let's see here. Let's see. Replica. Motor vehicle registration. Non-commercial vehicle. What do we have here? Motor vehicle registration. A non-commercial motor vehicle shall not include those vehicles required to be registered under section blank 49. So let's take a look here. 49,402. These are what's required to be registered. It says here that your guys' annual registration is for operating pickup trucks and neighborhood electric vehicles and vehicles having the maximum gross weight not in excess of 8,000 pounds. Most people do not have one of these three things. Let's see here. Talking about registration. Talking about pricing of registration. So basically a non-commercial motor vehicle would be a vehicle that is not a pickup truck or neighborhood electric vehicle or vehicle weighing in excess of 8,000 pounds. Now, by the way, in excess of 8,000 pounds, that would be the production weight of the vehicle. Meaning like if you've done, and it doesn't matter because I mean, you could get a massive fucking, monster fucking dually diesel is not going to weigh 8,000 fucking pounds. So it doesn't really matter. So that's some cool hints. We've got some hints there. So Idaho's quite a bit more complicated. But as you can see, as we dig, we're getting to the same place. The words might shift a teeny bit, right? But we're winding up in the same location, pretty much, right? Commercial vehicle. Oh, wait, is it right here? Commercial motor vehicle. Yeah, here we go. Has a manufacturer's gross combination weight in excess of 26,000 pounds. Okay, wow, that's a lot. That's like a massive monster big rig, maybe. Is designed to transport 16 or more people, including the driver. That'd be like a bus, school bus. Now think of this. Subsection 3, a school bus would fit that definition, but a short bus wouldn't. You see how specific that would be? So you could drive a short bus and it wouldn't be considered. You could drive around in a fucking blacked out short bus. I
mean, you could even fucking take, because I know our rugby bus, we took out a bunch of seats in the back and put couches back there. And it wouldn't seat more than that.
That's a little bit, you got to get really crazy with this though, is designed to transport 16 or more people.
Okay.
Do you see? So
Yeah.
it's not is currently equipped to, it's is designed to. I take this shit very literal.
Yeah.
Because in court, this is how you're going to win.
Right.
Yeah.
If I was going after you guys and you had that bus, I'd say that's exactly what I'd say to you as the plaintiff attorney, as the prosecuting attorney. I'd say, whoa, wait a second there, bucko. It doesn't say currently equipped to, it says designed to transport. That bus is designed to transport 16 or more people. The short bus is not.
Right.
You see?
Yeah, great point.
And you can go even farther and you could, like some of these like hick fucking limos where they take like old Fox body Mustangs and they glue them all together and then you have this fucking limo. That would be an interesting conversation to have because that is not something that was designed to transport 16 or more people, but it was basically ghetto rigged essentially to transport 16 or more people. So would it fit subsection 3? That'd be an interesting conversation in court. I mean, because the answer is probably no. So subsection 4, hazardous materials. Okay. So here we go. Commercial motor vehicle versus motor vehicle. So Commercial motor vehicle is one that fits one of these four. Let's see what else we've got here. Farm vehicle. Vehicle or combination of vehicles used by a farmer or rancher, which are operated over public highways and used exclusively to transport unprocessed agricultural products raised, owned, or grown by the owner of the vehicle to market or place of storage. So I've heard of guys taking this one, because you'll see this one in the federal codes as well, and they just grow their own tomatoes and shit and just stick them in the back of their car, and they say it's a farm vehicle. You can do that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that as well. There's a million ways. I mean, again. The point I'm trying to make is there's a million, billion, trillion fucking ways
And
to
once
get
you go
around
to
this
court-
shit.
And once you go to court, it's almost like going to Mexico. When you don't know a word, you just say "como se dice,"
Yes.
and they fucking tell you exactly what the word is.
Yeah.
Damn.
And there's actually even a legal term. I believe it's called an interpreter. And you can actually request an interpreter. And what's funny is you can actually, a buddy of mine, Joe Lustig, actually brought this up one time. He said, you just say, I don't speak legalese, and you request an interpreter.
Right.
Which is fucking cool. I never thought of that. That's fucking badass. Because you can walk in there, not know shit, and just say, I'm sorry, I don't speak legalese, but I'd love to speak with you. Can I have an interpreter, please?
Yeah.
That's like the most badass shit ever, because you're not being combative. And that's a terrifying fucking request. Absolutely fucking terrifying request. Because that just disarms everything. You don't need to know shit. And you walk in there and you just own the courtroom,
Yeah.
But here we go. Vehicle, motor vehicle, every vehicle that is self-propelled and the purpose of titling and registration meets federal motor vehicle safety standards. Motor vehicle does not include vehicles moved solely by human power, electric personal assistive mobility devices, personal delivery device. Ooh, that's a hot one. I would use that one. What's the definition of personal? What's the definition of delivery? What's the definition of devices? I would talk about that one for just days. I want to know. I want to beat that one to death. Personal delivery devices, right? Why do you think that they talk about it that way? Where are you getting that definition from? What evidence do you have that definition of what you're saying is the one that they're actually speaking about specifically in this title? I would beat that one to absolute bloody death, right? Electric assisted bicycles.
Here's an interesting one too, is my friend got a DUI on a bicycle. And right there, it does not include vehicles moved solely by human power.
That's correct. So your friend would, if he would have used this exact point, if it was a state lawsuit, which I'm sure it wasn't over. I'm sure it was. If he would have known this information, there's absolutely no way he would have been able to get prosecuted for a DUI. Physically impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course he hired a lawyer.
Yeah.
Everybody hires a lawyer. It's
Yeah.
money. DUI is big money.
Yeah. Huge money.
Here I am. My name on the internet is literally one stupid fuck. We've spent about 12 minutes, and I've already thrown out his whole DUI case in 12 minutes.
Right.
And I'm a fucking retard, literally by my own branding. Okay, so what does that say about the lawyers that they hire? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going down farther on this, because now you got me curious. This is very complicated. California is. You'd think California would be the most complicated one.
Right.
A lot of times, California is some of the easiest ones I've ever seen. To be honest with you, probably just because they're fucking lazy and they just say, let's just go with the federal code, which is what they do, honestly. So what do we got for, let's see here, passenger car. Oh, what's this? I'm on to something now. Passenger car. For the purposes of this, which we can take a quick peek at this one. What do we got here? Oh, just some bumper code. Okay. Where were we at? We were here. No, let's close some of these out. I'm getting a little lost. We were at this one can be closed out. Where are we at? This one can go. This one keep. This one can go. This one can go. This one I pulled up specifically because we were talking about this. This one can go. Okay. I mean, it's cool doing this on camera because people can see what I do. I mean, I'm not trying to make it look
Yeah.
like I've got this all fucking perfect. This is exactly what I'd be doing if you would have asked me to do this or hired me to do this. You can see that it's not that difficult. It seems difficult at first because you're faced with this wall of bullshit. But once you just start digging through a little bit, here we go. Passenger car. For the purposes of 49966, which I don't know why, it doesn't really mean much of anything. Bumpers or whatever, a motor vehicle, except a multi-purpose passenger vehicle, motorcycle or trailer designed to carry 10 or fewer persons. So we have some new terms here. We're starting to get onto something. We've got the term passenger car. We've got the term multi-purpose passenger vehicle. That's an interesting term. I'd beat the fuck out of that one. I'd have fucking Discovery 3 pages long. What's the definition of passenger? What's the definition of multi-purpose? What's the definition of vehicle? Where does that come from? Who wrote that? How does it differ? Why does it differ from the federal code? What examples of what court cases can you show me where that definition or those definitions or this term comes from? Beat the fuck out of that one. Passenger car, beat the fuck out of that one. Let's see here. Replica vehicle. That's interesting. We have special laws about that in California as well. Kit cars, like your Superformance and your Superformance, like old 50s Corvettes and your old your AC Cobras, your Shelby AC Cobra kit cars.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
your
he was just looking at one. On,
yeah, those are sick.
Facebook Marketplace.
Those are super sick. Even your Myers Manx dune buggies. You put the fiberglass body on top of a chopped Volkswagen Bug body. That would be a kit car. Replica. Okay, replicas are cool because you can actually get the MCO, the manufacturer certificate of origin. You are essentially the manufacturer of a replica car. That's why people don't realize that's why there's a lot of special laws about replica cars, because they're actually like very interesting. Replica cars is by far one of the easiest cars to get to be non-commercial. Replica cars are awesome. Kit car. I'm a big kit car fan. Legally and just hobby wise, I think they're just really cool. Like, for example, the Ultima GTR, not to get off on too much of a, have you guys ever heard of this?
Oh yeah, of course.
This is a 1,200 horsepower, brake horsepower car, fully street legal for like $120,000 fucking dollars. Stick shift.
Crazy.
It weighs like 2,100 pounds. It's more brake horsepower than a liter motorcycle. It's like, it's a fucking death trap. It's badass. Anyways, I could talk about that for hours. Anyways, that's a kit car. That's a replica car. Okay.
Right.
A replica car, it doesn't mean only replicas. It also means anything that is like basically a piece by piece put together car, like an Ultima GTR or a Superformance or whatever, right? Salvage vehicles, specially constructed vehicle or vessel. You can piece together your own vehicle like out of a fucking junkyard. They really don't have any jurisdiction over something like that at all. There's absolutely no way they'd be able to touch you if you would create your own fucking car with some tubing and shit like that. I mean, there's fuck all they can do.
Fuck, I just saw a video in Africa where they're making cars with wood and shit.
Yeah.
And driving them around.
If you do that, that there is really, I mean, literally fuck all that they can do to you with something like that. I mean, fuck all, right? Like, I see these guys as crackheads in this old town I used to live in. They take weed whacker engines and they weld them into a bicycle frame.
Yeah.
And they're going down the fucking road at like 18 miles an hour, and this thing is screaming.
Yeah.
Right? There ain't dick you're gonna be able to do to someone like that. I mean, you would need an entire paper trail of them donating that vehicle, describing that vehicle in great detail, the weight of the vehicle, the type of engine, the type of gasoline, all all issued into the government. Plus, you would need to have some sort of fee that they use to try to enter into some sort of a commercial trust with. I mean, there's just no way. These guys don't know that because they're crackheads, but it's just funny because kit cars and self-created cars. Now, let's say you took a bunch of pieces of wood and you stuck an engine on it and you went down the freeway and it was just this like fucking jalopy and it was like all over the road and it was causing accidents. That would be highly illegal because they would have to actually connect the car and you driving it with the damage that has been committed on the freeway of these other crash cars and people being hurt and having their arms broken. In that situation, you're in deep shit. But if you create a vehicle that is not a literal menace causing real harm on the freeway, bro, they can't do fuck all to you, bro. They can't even pull you over. They can't even detain you. They can't even ask you questions. Literally. That's how badass. Just getting off on a bit of a tangent there. Vehicle identification number. They have that here. So it's very vague, but we have a lot of really good terms. So we have the term motor vehicle. We have the term commercial motor vehicle. So there's two different terms. How are they different? We have the term passenger car, which is like red hot. I'd be jumping all over that. What is the definition? The definition of a passenger car in Idaho. And then I also want to know, oh, this is the same spot.
Yeah.
So it's a motor vehicle. So now I want to know what's the definition of a what is the definition of in Idaho? Oh, interesting. Multi-purpose passenger vehicle means a motor vehicle with motive power, except a low-speed vehicle or trailer designed to carry 10 persons or less, which is constructed either on a truck chassis or with special features for occasional off-road operation.
An E-class van.
So this would be a non-commercial motor vehicle, a multi-purpose passenger vehicle. And then passenger car also on vague. It's very vague, but this one appears to be the non-commercial, right? But it's very confusing. So I would ask another question. What is the difference in Idaho between a motor vehicle and a commercial motor vehicle? Now, all these things that I'm typing in, all these things that I'm asking, and all these things that I'm wondering are all things that you could bring up during a court case, during discovery, or during cross-examination, direct examination, opening hearings, closing hearings. I mean, all over the place. You would just machine gun, Tommy gun blast these people with all this shit. Commercial.
The overall overarching like theme of this is that the words that we're used to don't mean what we think that they mean always. So you have to understand the definitions and, like you're saying, go as far as, who created these statements that are being, used as law or code or whatever. That's
yes.
the only way. I mean, because we know that if you build a vehicle on your own made of wood, that technically they're not allowed to touch you, but they're allowed to do anything if you acquiesce.
Yes. If you don't know any of this information.
Yeah.
This is, I think, federal here. Anyways, we've dug into this quite a bit. Idaho's definitely. And the cool thing about when you go into something that's more complicated too is that just leads to more questions to annoy the fuck out of a prosecuting attorney.
Oh yeah, of course.
So just because it's complicated doesn't mean it's in your worst interest necessarily. If it's complicated and you're the one digging through it, it just means that it just means that there's going to be 5 pages worth of discovery questions that are going to make a prosecuting attorney go in the back, open up his bottle of Jack Daniels and put a fucking revolver in his mouth. You know what I mean? I trying to look at everything in a positive light. You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just a game. So let me ask you this, because again, I found you based on conditional acceptance, and then I really dove into your course, and it kind of starts out, and kind of the theme, I guess, for the first, 30 plus videos is really about, changing status, state, national, stuff like that. But then, how taxes work, the, 456, all these things. But then it kind of switches gears in the advanced course, where now we're kind of getting into the infinite money. And a couple of things that you say in those videos that really caught my attention is that, changing your status, getting a special passport, all of this type of stuff. Yeah, it's real, and you can go through the process. But once you understand the infinite money, you understand the banking, you understand the power of a stamp.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is kind of just like, it doesn't matter.
It becomes a lot less significant. I wouldn't say it doesn't matter. Because look, when and you don't even need a stamp too. It's like you could just handwrite the endorsement too. Stamps are just more official looking, I guess you could say. But let's say you're arrested and you're in some fucking cell and you're handed a pen and a piece of paper. What you don't realize is you do not think you're the person in control of that situation, do you? But what the actual factual information is, you are completely in control in that moment, because they can't do dick until you manufacture that bond. And that's why they hand you the bond, because they need you to sign it. You see, you have to sign yourself into, and people say like, oh, well, even if I don't sign it, they're still going to incarcerate you, blah, blah. Yeah, they're going to threaten you, and they're going to talk mad shit, and they're going to put you in jail for 24 hours for contempt. They can only do that a couple times.
Right.
That's it. It's all intimidation. Now, if you sign that bond, they can do a whole lot more horrible things to you. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to scare you and intimidate you by putting you in jail for contempt. Bro, I'll sit in jail for fucking a week on contempt. I can care less about contempt. You can give me contempt, I'll be in there whistling Dixie. You know what I mean? I ain't fucking creating no bonds. I'll tell you right now, the second you create those bonds, they can put you away. They can do whatever they want with you. They own you.
Right.
But the thing is that
They
there's a
bound
third
you.
option. You can conditionally endorse the bonds. Now that's where things become really, really interesting. Right?
Yeah, like you were saying that, like getting an auto loan, like if you stamp it, they'll come back a month later saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, we didn't."
Yeah.
The finance manager doesn't know what the hell you're doing. He thinks
No one does. Even
yeah, they come
bankers
back
don't
saying,
know it.
"Oh,
Yeah.
what the hell?"
Yeah.
So that's a great point. Yeah, you
Yeah.
conditionally accept or conditionally endorse that bond.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So let's say you get arrested, and let's say that there's a ticket, let's say that there's a bond, let's say you just write on there, you know what I mean? Like, as the agent on behalf of the principal, Brandon Joe Williams, in all caps, I hereby, as the implied surety, or however you want to say it, I hereby bring this bond into existence without recourse and to be payable to Brandon Joe Williams. And then below that, you put, this bond is valued at, $80,000, which now equals an overpayment of $70,000 to be payable by check to Brandon Joe Williams, in lowercase letters. And then you put, by colon, and then you sign your name there, comma agent. And then below that, you put, Brandon Joe Williams, attorney in fact. So as the holder, you just rewrote and conditionally endorsed that entire. So it's basically like when any government agency or police or anybody hands you something to sign, they're saying if we want you to agree to this, but you're now the holder once you accept this. So as the holder, if you would like to change or adjust any part of this contract, you may do so. That's what's actually happening in that moment. And you can actually, let's say, for example, there's not enough room on the paper. Or let's say, for example, it's an electronic document, right? There's a term called an allonge. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
An
you just posted
allonge.
something about that on your Instagram with
so
mortgage.
So you go online, you type in what is an allonge? An allonge is a sheet of paper that is attached to a negotiable instrument, such as a bill of exchange, to provide space for additional endorsements.
Wow.
Oh, I'm very sorry, Jim. This electronic document does not allow me to properly endorse the instrument. How do I attach an allonge? I'm very sorry, Officer Jones. This ticket in commerce does not allow me to have enough room to write a proper endorsement. Or if you want to say the super dumbed down part, say, I have a special signature that won't fit in this box. How can we get some sort of allonge? Because I would like to sign this instrument. So it's a conditional acceptance. You're not saying no. You're saying I need additional room to write the endorsement. There isn't enough room on this.
That's awesome.
An allonge can be an entire sheet of paper, and it can have conditions all the way down the whole fucking piece of paper. You can write a whole contract on an allonge.
Fuck.
So you attach the allonge and you send it back, and now they become the holder, but you're the person entitled to enforce. You're the person who actually created the value of the instrument.
Right.
And now they're in a really, really strange predicament because now you've issued them an instrument of value. If they steal it, they go to prison for 25 years.
Right.
They're fucked. I mean, they are completely fucked. I mean, if you really want to go all the way with this, you could take down an entire police station just from one guy writing you one ticket. You could take down the whole police academy just from writing an allonge.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty hefty game. That would be.
So this is the rabbit hole on this is that's why the infinite money thing is so big, because everything is a commercial transaction. Everything is either a bill of exchange, which means an order to pay money, or a promissory note, which means a promise to pay money at some future point. Those two things are both negotiable instruments. UCC 3-104. I believe. Oops. Let's see here. I really like Cornell.
Put 140. Did you mean do one? Oh, then never mind. You got it.
Let's see here. What is the definition of a negotiable instrument? Right here. Yeah, 3-104. Negotiable instrument means an unconditional promise or order to pay a fixed amount of money with or without interest or other charges. An unconditional promise is called a promissory note. An unconditional order is called a bill of exchange or bill. All tickets are bills of exchange. All tickets, well, they're not really bills of exchange. They're sort of hybrids, because they're actually performance bonds, because they're actually a promise to be located inside of a courtroom on a certain date and time. But they have like the options market, where like you have options, and it's like the options securities market. A ticket from a police officer is actually an option security, because you can either perform on the bond, which means you would need to show up in the courtroom at that particular time, or you can convert it into a bill of exchange and you can pay it as an order to pay a fixed amount of money unconditionally. So it's sort of like a hybrid security, a ticket is, right? But again, what's more powerful, a passport and having to fight your way through all this, or an allonge and just owning the entire commercial activity? And then you can say another thing. I trademarked my all capital letter name, and they're manufacturing securities based off of that all capital letter name, because if they make any securities based off of the social security number, the social security number is the EIN identifying number for the name of which I have a trademark for the business. So you can go even farther than that. And you can say, like, the trademark sometimes is even more powerful than understanding the negotiable instrument part, because Now you can go after them for purloining and manufacturing securities illegally. You can actually put the police officer in prison.
Yeah, I just filed my trademark earlier this week.
Yeah.
I need to finish that, but in the process. So
Yeah. So what is the definition of a negotiable instrument? It says here is payable to bearer or to order. Now, payable to order, that means just like you see on a check, pay to the order of colon and then a name, a business name, or the name of a natural person, etc. Right? But you can also write payable to bearer. Payable to bearer just means anyone. It's a blank endorsement. Anyone who has this, it's payable to the person who holds it in their hand. So Federal Reserve notes are payable to bearer negotiable instruments. And that's why they have the two different signatures on them.
I've got a stamp that says that.
Yeah, that's so if you were given a Federal Reserve note, I don't know how this would work, but you could write payable, paid to the order of on it, and then you might be able to convert that bearer security into a check. This is so crazy. I mean, I'm still learning all this. It's totally fucking insane. I don't even really know. But let's say you take a check out of your checkbook and you cross out paid to the order of, and you write in the line payable to bearer, and you put $1. By definition, you just created your own cash.
Right.
Anyone who holds that quote
example.
unquote check has a $1 value, and you are the backing of the value of that bearer security.
Right. Wow.
So you can manufacture your own cash right now. It's completely legal. The definition of cash, you can't find this literally anywhere. It took me forever to figure it out, and I just figured it out like 3 days ago. And that might change, by the way. It might change.
We should make some dollar or like $20, $100 bills with pickles on them.
Pickle dollars.
Yeah, pickle dollars.
So I was reading UCC 3, and I kind of came to a realization. The definition of cash is any physical negotiable instrument that is payable to the bearer. This would be a bearer security by definition. So all Federal Reserve notes are bearer securities. And what's interesting about bearer security, you start getting into bearer securities, and they're like, oh, they don't really exist anymore. Wow, way to cover it up, boys. And then you go even farther, and bearer securities cannot be registered, which is really fascinating. I just learned this like 3 or 4 days ago. Wow, that's fascinating.
Our
right?
Federal Reserve notes, they all have a registration number on them.
Yeah, but they're not. The definition of registration means like it's registered to a name. It's registered to an individual, a person. It's registered to an individual, a trust, a state partnership, or association, a person, right? So that's interesting because the SEC has different rules for registered versus non-registered. That's very, very, very interesting. Okay. Number 2 is payable on demand or at a definite time. You can write on demand in the date section of your checks, and you just made that a bearer security that's payable on demand, or a check payable on demand, depending on if you do, right? Does not state any other undertaking or instruction by the person promising or ordering payment to do or act in addition to the payment of money, but the promise or order may contain. So it's saying what would be considered unconditional and conditional here, because you look at the definition is unconditional promise or order. So this number 3, they're clarifying the difference between what would be considered conditional or unconditional, right? Instrument means a negotiable instrument. This is very, very interesting. The part that I actually came here for is the part I came here for. An instrument is a note if it is a promise, and it is a draft if it is an order. So a bill of exchange is also called a draft. If an instrument falls within the definition of both note and draft, a person entitled to enforce the instrument may treat it as either, which is really, really, really fascinating, right? Because that means that
American Express ad right next to that is pretty interesting.
there you go.
Pay only for what you borrow with American Express business line of credit.
Let's take a break for a second. I'm about to piss my pants.
How'd you like that? Those cigars?
Oh, you're the guy who sent those. Those were fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. So Gary purchased them. I sent them. I was actually gonna send it certified return mail, but
Oh, you're so
missed
funny.
out.
You wanted to
Missed
get
out.
my signature? You're like, I'm gonna sell this.
I'm gonna fucking sell
Sell it
that
on the black market.
this mother. I was gonna make a stamp.
I'm actually gonna turn my cam off, and I'm gonna take a break as well for a couple minutes.
Yeah, me too. I gotta piss.
All right. Okay, I'm back, guys. Hello.
Nice one.
Boy, this show. I mean, I have a feeling this show is going to be rough for your people, man. This is we're pretty. My people are going to go ape shit over this show, but you guys, anyone is kind of just going to get kind of eaten alive on this one, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, most people probably won't. I mean, this we'll get a lot of good clips. A lot of
Yeah, my
shorts.
people are going to go ape shit. You guys are going to have a lot of new fans over here, but in terms of your own people, you might lose some fans on this one.
Oh man, those are the wrong people anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The NPCs got to go away no matter what.
Well, this is not even. I mean, this is even for people who would be interested in the conversation. This is this is heavy hitter right here.
Yeah, we're a couple obsessives for sure.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, man. Me too. I just it's just funny.
Well, let me
Drop
ask,
this
I
fucking
mean,
missile, dude.
knowing all that you know, and all the experience that you've gone through yourself, is where would you suggest people get started on this journey? Like, let's say someone's just barely finding out about this information. Like, what would be the steps you would be taking now?
Like a brand new person. I mean, sign up for my free course, contract
Nice,
clerk
of
course.
course, yeah. We were just talking
Read
about that.
read my state national theory page would be good. And it'll all fun from there. I mean, really, that's kind of the whole point. You know, it's kind of the whole point of the free contract clerk course. It's supposed to be that jump off point. You know,
Mhm.
people go off and they're going to study 8 million different things and a bunch of different people, and that's normal. I did the same thing.
Yeah, of course.
Now we
There's
start
a
getting in
journey.
a lot of financial shit, and we start getting in a lot of the negotiable instrument stuff, and you're not going to find a whole lot of that. There's not very many of us in that category, but in the nationality and trusts and that kind of thing, you will find quite a few people talking about that, such as Yusuf. I believe Yusuf does talk about the negotiable instrument stuff, but I just anyone who the very few people that are talking about it, it's like way too convoluted to follow, in my opinion. It's taken me a long time.
Well, I would
and
say
an
too with Yusuf.
asinine amount of hours to try to figure out how to talk about this stuff in a way where, you know, it's just absurd the amount of hours I've spent trying to understand the securities and all that, you know. Anyways,
Totally.
yeah.
And one thing I would suggest anybody listening to this, if you're listening to your information or Yusuf's information, you might not understand fucking anything he says in an entire deal, but all of the tools he gives you, like he'll give you PDFs, he'll give you all this stuff. That's why I'm reading Perry versus the United States. You might not understand it at first, but as you read those court cases, you will understand better.
Oh yeah.
And to your credit, I mean, I've gone through your course. I mean, I'm on my third time going through it. I mean, this
Oh
is
wow. Okay.
something you're going to go through one time and understand it.
Yeah, I
And
say that in the
especially,
course too. It's kind of like a two minimum, kind of a two roads, two swaps minimum. You know.
yeah, it's not about just, filing this stuff and think it's like magically you're not going to be contested at all. Like they're going to, whether it's sending you a letter back, just completely disregarding your entire letter, whatever it is, like it's not going to be just, sometimes it is. And you said it, I don't remember the fourth video that you sent, Ken, was maybe 20% of the time you send the negotiable instrument in, it goes, cupcakes and unicorns for you. It go. But the other time, then nah, it's a game, and that it's court. It's tennis. You hit the ball, They hit it back in your court. What are you gonna do? Let's play this game.
Yeah. And when you send something like what Ken wrote up, I mean, that's like Hiroshima level, bro. There's no way.
Right.
There's
Saying, hey, you want to
no
play
way.
this game?
I mean, that's like Blitzkrieg on Poland shit right there. That's just like there's no way that about that. They're just gonna completely ignore it, deflect it, dismiss the case, fall down and die, or cry, or get drunk. Those are their options when they get something like that. That's just way too short, pithy, heavy hitting, direct to the point, unemotional. I mean, there's really no way to really get underneath something like what Ken wrote there. It's just too good. Really.
Yeah, we want to beat that. It's like you just said, it's dropping a bomb when they started with a spitball.
It's like you get invited to a children's playground for a battle with two 5-year-olds over by the rock, and you drop a H bomb
Yeah.
and blow up the whole zip code. You know what I mean? Like it's like literally.
It reminded me of
That's
Step
like
Bros, dude.
Yeah,
when
I
they-
know.
ridiculous.
Hey, there's
Ridiculous.
Dale. Yeah, let's make him
Ridiculous.
lick white dog shit.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous. It's like such fucking overkill. It's like crazy. It's hilarious.
But like you said, it's to the point. It's hey, it's professional. Hey, this is just business. I need you to answer this stuff. And hey, I just want you to know the
Yeah.
magnitude of the game that we're playing here.
Yeah, it's like you watch these I was watching yesterday Filthy Money, the documentary about Jeffrey Epstein on Netflix. And when the West Palm Beach Police Department, when the chief over there, when he first prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein back in like 2006, Jeffrey Epstein had Alan Dershowitz put together like a legal defense dream team. And it was like 9 of these like, $2,000 an hour lawyers. And what's so funny is like just some fucking idiot on my private Facebook group could run absolute fucking circles around those nine lawyers. Like what Ken wrote is better than any of the shit that any of those guys have probably ever written in their entire careers.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah, it doesn't mean most of like when you get like the discovery just full of it's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's all bullshit, dude. It's literally all
It's meant
bullshit.
to confuse you.
You know how many, I have a client right now. You know how many I had him call around because I was trying to get some help with some of the procedure in terms of filing a lawsuit. Do you know how many securities attorneys that we've called and asked them? The first question we ask them is a Federal Reserve note a security? If they don't know, or if they say no, or if they waffle at all, we just hang the phone up. And we just always hang the phone up because they can't answer the question. And these guys, 10 years in practice, 15 years in practice. It's like, that's that. I mean, when you realize, like I said, when you start getting into all this, especially when you start learning more about the in propria pauperous, which means you don't need to pay shit. This is multi-millionaire guaranteed. And you're cleaning up the bullshit and government at the same time.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to be the hero, if you ever wanted to be a firefighter or a police officer when you're little because you saw the idealism in that, if you ever wanted to be in the military because you saw the idealism in that, you saw the idealism in the idea of doing something wonderful to help other people, doing something wonderful. If you ever wanted to be an artist because you enjoy creating art and you enjoy creating something that other people enjoy, but you weren't sure if you could ever do it because of the money. Well, this is your calling.
This actually isn't my first letter I wrote. The very first one I wrote was in kangaroo court for we do the fantasy football league, and there was some accusations on my client who's in our fantasy football league, but the guy that brought the accusations against him was a lawyer, and I absolutely fucking smoked him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. With this type of shit. And in fact, he didn't even write a response to it. And so we won the case, but that was my very first one. And that's when I was like, oh shit, like it stressed him out.
Yeah, it's
and
so
then
easy because they're not 80% of the time they're not going to respond. They're hoping for that one shot, grab the money and run, which happens 96% of the time.
Mm.
Why do they need to fucking work? Why do you know? You just toss shit in every fucking direction. You create lawsuits and you file a lawsuit for $408 and then you send shit out certified mail and then you just 95% of the time you get a summary judgment.
And you pay up front.
Yeah, why do you think lawyers are so fucking skeevy, bro? It's like that's what they do.
Yeah, they get
They
paid up
they
front.
they
don't care
encounter
for
they
the
encounter anyone that says even picks up the phone and talks to them is like, this is too much work. Fuck this guy. Like,
right. Man,
there's 150 other ones that are right there that they're not even going to call us. They're not going to pick up the phone. They're not going to do anything. So, why are we going to deal with this guy?
right.
Doesn't
Well,
make any sense.
this information and this kind of journey, this is for those kind of the, real loud and proud, American. I'm all about freedom, patriot, try to take my guns. Like, this is the real fight is, hey, like, this is the game. Focus your energy on this. Like, if you're really down for your country and for freedom, like, this is how we get our freedom back is people going out and playing this game and exposing
Yeah.
and just teaching it.
Yeah. Like I said, you want to, patriotic minded person, if you like the idea of saving America and, I mean, there's no better option to get absolutely grotesquely filthy rich in the process.
Yep.
I mean,
Infinite money, baby.
I felt like I hit the fucking Powerball bigger than the Powerball. I felt like I hit the Powerball times a million when I found this shit. Cause I'm like, wow, I'm going to get absolutely astronomically rich. While at the same time, I'm going to be the police officer or the army guy or the Duke Nukem of my childhood. How cool is fucking that? You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool. What would you say is like the biggest win that you've seen, whether personally or through like Jorge type of client, someone that's like they've set off a house or something. What's the coolest thing you've seen so far?
I mean, I've seen houses. I've seen all sorts of things. I mean,
that chick just got that Escalade. That was pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, the Escalade was cool. That was cool. I am doing a whole new thing now. I'm sending out a whole bunch of documents right now and doing a whole new kind of tester thing that I'm doing right now for my clients. I mean, it all becomes kind of mundane after a while. I mean, it's, we get maybe 20 or 25% hit rate on like infinite money and stuff like that. And then, the other 75% is going to come from litigation and learning the litigation system,
Right.
I'm transparent about that. I don't try to sell it as something that, it's always going to work and blah, 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 and, no, I mean, at first we were getting like a 1% hit rate, if that. We really get it up to like a 15, 20, 25%. But it just seems like no matter what we do, we just can't really get it above that. So that's kind of why we've moved into litigation, because it's a foreshore. It's a foreshore deal. It's the only foreshore deal there is.
And going through that process, what you'll be able to do with your your mind and just how you did your courses, once there's a streamlined system, once you've done this, like you were saying with the whole system, once you've taken 10 credit card companies or banks to court, now you have a system, then they're fucked.
Well, you only need that's why they're so nervous. That's why what a lot of what they're doing is they just sandbag everything.
Right.
They just push everything out a year, 2 years, whatever they possibly can.
Point, just drag it
because
out.
they know they're sliding down this mudslide. They know it's happening, and their only defensive mechanism is just to sandbag the ever loving fuck out of everything, which is we're seeing a lot of that right now. So
yeah, that's interesting. Is like as the fiat system collapses, through just hyperinflation, it's just interesting that even how the credit system, how this whole thing works, it's all like being exposed at the same time, like culminating to this huge like implosion of their system, whether it be the Federal Reserve notes, and now with the infinite money, and people understand they're giving you a check to send back. It blew my mind after seeing that video of yours with Jorge, and I looked at a state and it says coupon on it. I'm thinking it's
Yeah.
right in front of your face
Yeah, it's
the
right
whole
there.
time.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, isn't it?
So wild.
Yeah, a bill of exchange is an order to pay funds. So when they send you the statement, it's what does it say? Pay this amount or pay the minimum payment due by this date. That is the literal definition of an order to pay, an unconditional order to pay. They're not saying pay if you want, pay if the sun rises in the east next Tuesday, which will be conditional. They're saying pay this amount by this date, period. That's a bill of exchange.
Right.
That bill of exchange and any securities attached to it is creating interest because it's an interest-bearing security. The coupon represents the interest on the bill of exchange. And that was a lot of confusion that I had on that too, and I'm still kind of learning it. It's not really the way that I believe now at this point, and I'm kind of figuring this all. The way I think it really works is the coupon is actually the interest, and then the body of the actual bill or statement is the bill of exchange. And I'm starting to sort of believe that it's two different payments. So you're going to detach the coupon, give it a value, or force them to give it a value. And then you can keep the interest for yourself. And then you can endorse the bill of exchange and send back. So it's a little bit more to it, right? But like, for example, really want to get the very maximum of infinite money, for example, right? It's a situation where there has to be equal consideration in order for there to be any contract. Otherwise, there can't be a contract. So, for example, all these current credit contracts don't exist because there's not equal consideration. You're giving them valuable securities all the time, and they're giving you nothing in exchange, or very little, just a little bit of work that they're doing. So, what I recommend is, and what I'm doing in a lot of the new documents that I'm sending into all the credit agencies is, I'm interest-bearing securities that I'm producing throughout the month, but I'm giving you guys all of the interest that's produced from those interest-bearing securities. So now at that point, the coupon would go to them and the bill of exchange would go to you, and they wouldn't be attached anymore. This is my theory. Okay. Now what that does is that allows the all credit limits to be removed off of the accounts. There's absolutely no justification to have limits on at that point because the performance is guaranteed, absolute guaranteed. You don't even need insurance on that. Insurance wouldn't even cover something like that because it's a guaranteed performance. Then what you do is you give them limited power of attorney to do the special endorsements on your behalf a month to where you don't even need to fill out the endorsements anymore. And now me, this is my current theory on like true actual percent infinite money where you have an Amex Black card. You can do absolutely anything you want with it. You have to look at any of the bills of exchange. There's no point because and through litigation, I believe we can do this.
Yeah. Enforcement comes through the litigation.
Yeah.
But
It's saying that I'm getting a poor connection on your end now.
yeah,
Yeah.
us too. It was glitching pretty bad there. But we might be, let's see, we might be out of the woods.
It seems like it's cleaning up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got about countless devices in this house that just suck that titty dry.
Yeah.
Damn.
Were you able to hear everything I said or did it cut out?
No, I mean, we caught it, but it just kind of clipped in and out. But I mean, the message, it's there if you listen through the pauses.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
No, I mean, good stuff. I mean, incredible stuff. I mean, we're going on freaking 3 hours here.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah,
could go all day
I
with this.
mean,
So
we've gone through a lot of stuff. I mean, geez, and I think that, I mean, we could stay on for another 3 hours for sure. So I think
yeah.
definitely a round two is, you know, in the future for sure. I mean, gosh, because again, I mean, you said it is there's so few people doing this work, and so but it is catching on. It is catching on. It is catching fire. People are getting results. And at the end of the day, even like with what Ken and myself is going through, we're creating a court of record. We're creating case law. We're creating
Yeah.
through the litigation and through everything we're doing. We are, I don't want to use, because again, it's not about controversy. It's not about us versus them. It's about being a good steward of your estate. You have to know how to manage
Yeah.
your estate if you are worthy of having wealth. And so
Yeah.
that's all I'm trying. Hey, I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm not trying to argue. I try to act aloof in any of my interactions. Like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I'm just hey, what does this word mean? Like, hey, am I right here? I read UCC. Am I interpreting this right? This negotiable instrument, man, this means that I did this. Hey, I'm holder in due course. Like, oh, is that what this means? And then you're putting them in a booby trap.
Yeah. Yeah. They realize that they're the 3-year-old child on the recess right now.
Right.
Yeah. And they realize they're in trouble, Now, another thing at that point, the best move for them, which is the move that I see that they always do, is if they're a billing attorney and they bill by the hour, just sandbag.
Oh, yeah.
Sandbag for like a year and a half and get paid the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's what they're gonna do. Yeah, yeah, because they're getting paid from the credit card company or whoever. Yeah, the prosecutor
by the hour.
Gosh, yeah, scumbags.
Yeah, so they're literally scumbags. Like,
yeah,
I'm pretty heavy duty when it comes to like no cop bashing, no judge bashing. Like, I really don't like any of this stuff on any of my material, but lawyer bashing is the only area that I'm pretty much okay with. I mean, not all lawyers are horrible, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty bad, bro. It's pretty bad.
Fuck.
Well, it's probably a pretty good place. I mean, where can people find you? We'll put all the links up for, right here. Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, man. Best website ever. onestupidfuck.com, dude.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
good
man,
old
I
links.
enjoyed this conversation. Very few people that I think understand any of this. So I find myself, surface level conversation. So having a deep conversation with somebody like this, fuck man, I enjoy the shit out of it. So
yeah, like I said, my people are going to love this. Your people, I hope they can enjoy it. I hope they can get something out of it.
fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean that.
My people are going to go ape shit over this
right
one.
there.
Absolutely ape shit over this one. I have like 25,000 people just going fucking berserk over this one.
Nice. Well, man, I appreciate your time so much, Brandon, man. You're the best, man. Keep it up. You truly
Thanks, guys.
are leading the fucking fight, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good. It's a lot of fun.
Talk to you
I'm having a
soon.
lot of fun. That's what matters,
Yeah, likewise, for sure.
Yeah. Talk to you soon, man. Have a good one.
Peace.
You too, guys. Bye-bye.
Peace.